Welcome to Margin Business Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. In today's episode, we got Talal Asad, the president and e-commerce consultant at Brandtogether. Welcome, Talal.
Thank you that you could make it today. Talal, I'm happy to have you here. And yeah, we want to know a little bit more about your journey. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you, where did you grow up? And, then we work ourselves a little bit up. Today, run your own company, successful company, and have a really nice business, and obviously everything e-commerce, Amazon related.
Sharon, thank you so much for having me on your show. This is it's quite a journey, let me tell you. So I'm going to try to give you an abridged version of it because there was a lot of moving. But I lived between the United States and the Middle East in Jordan and Saudi Arabia growing up.
Okay.
And when I was, I did high school in Jordan. And when I came back, I went to Ohio State and got into marketing. But the whole marketing stuff actually started when I was back in Jordan because I did the IB program, International Baccalaureate. And business class is one of the courses, and they're all 2-year courses. So I took business starting 11th grade and 12th grade and just fell in love with it. And I had a great business teacher. You know how they say, like, you have like that one high school teacher that changes your life? Like Definitely. Mrs. Rida was that one teacher. And so, I really, really enjoyed it. And it just seemed to come naturally to me, something that I really enjoyed doing. And immediately I knew when I went to Ohio State, I wanted to go into business. And so I declared my major as a freshman before and got into junior level classes my freshman year because, they didn't know how to grade the IB at the time. So they're like, oh, it looks like you already took these classes. And so it was great. Yeah. And so when I was in college, I started a magazine my senior year, and we made like a glossy magazine, kind of like a lad mag, like a Maxim FHM type magazine.
Okay.
And it was great. And we used student talent and student models and student writers, and it was all, and went out and knocked on doors and found advertisers. And, we had the biggest bars on campus advertising in our thing. And yeah, so it was a good time. And so from there, though, I ended up working at the Nielsen company. So the largest market research firm in the world. And I worked in their division that was called Basies. And so Basies stands for Booz Allen Sales Estimation System. So it was bought by Booz Allen back in the 60s or 70s by the Nielsen company. And essentially every single product you can think of that's a mass market CPG product. So all of the big names from Axe to, all the food, pet food to all the FemCare, all of that went through our company, and we would test it with a panel. And then we would give them the thumbs up or thumbs down on whether to launch the product and tell them how much they're going to make in year one.
Okay.
And this was done through, hundreds of thousands of launches over the course of the decades that Nielsen has been doing this. So anytime you see a new product, just know like it went through the market research firm from Nielsen before. At least this was the case 10 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it was really cool. So you got to see all of the new products before they hit market. We had a huge warehouse that had just the products themselves, the prototypes of products. And so any new flavor of Gatorade or a new Taco Bell flavor or anything, like we would know about it beforehand. And so it was pretty cool. But I worked in the video game division, so I didn't get to really touch the consumer packaged part of it. But it was still fun because my colleagues did, and we always got to see what's going on and what's coming down the pipeline. But that's where I really enjoyed market research and applying a research kind of mindset to everything. And everything kind of went crazy at that point. My best friend, he was living in London, and he was my best friend from high school. And he's a super talented hip hop artist and producer.
Okay.
And he was like, why don't you come to London and help me manage my hip hop career? And I was 22 or 23 at the time, I think 23. And I was like, yeah, of course I'm going to do that. So I quit my job, moved to London, spent time with him.
Super job that you had, right? The video gaming Nielsen
market
job,
research.
correct?
Yeah. I was still an analyst at the time out of college. So it wasn't like it was a good job. It was good. But at the same time, the entrepreneurial spirit, you always want to try new things. And I don't know if you remember the show at the time that it was really big. It was called Entourage. If anyone.
Sorry to interrupt you, Edu. I just wanted to let you know that I really appreciate you having you here. today watching this video right now. And I wanted to let you know that MarginBusiness can help you to localize all of your Amazon listings for the European Union. If you have any questions about that, just send us an email. Thank you. One more thing. If you like our content, please hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Thank you. Now enjoy the video.
If anyone watched that show, it was huge here in the United States.
What year do we talk about?
That was between maybe 2004 and 2010, 2011.
Yeah,
so that show called Entourage, it was about a movie star and his friends from high school all become part of his like entourage, right? Like he has his manager. So I had that kind of romanticized vision of what the lifestyle was going to be like if he makes it, you know. And unfortunately, you know, London is a very hard place for a hip hop artist if you're not like from London, like if you're not British yourself. And so he now is still doing stuff, and he's quite famous in the underground and whatnot. I'm not going to say who he is, but like he's doing a really good job right now. But I stopped working, you know, about 6 months into it. And it was just very difficult to be poor in London, I think, as anyone can imagine, like not have any income and kind of not really even supposed to be working there, you know? And
yeah,
so,
I understand. Okay.
So anyways, that came back. And then at the time, my sister's best friend, he had a company in North Carolina. And I was at her wedding and he was like, hey, why don't you, you know, now that you have some experience and you've gotten it out of your system, why don't you come move to North Carolina and work in health information technology with me? And like, I have this company. And can you give me a presentation? And then I gave him a presentation. He loved it. He called me and hired me on the spot. And I was like, okay. So I packed up a car and I just moved to North Carolina. I didn't know a single person and just sat there and started working for him. And his company was just a 2-person shop. And we did some really great things. And he kicked my ass. Like he taught me really quick how to wear many hats. And it was the best experience. And so I worked with him for 4 years, doing product and project management, learning some like very light coding, you know, just maintaining the website and working with products and people and like, you know, account management, like just so many things. And it was great because I got like the consumer package good part of it. Then I started to get like some product and project management. And then I understood how like software is built and why you choose to make the decisions you make and how to prioritize the things. And so this led to this big, like well-rounded kind of knowledge, you know, knowledge set that I had at that point. And then I hit my,
sorry, we talk about, sorry to interrupt you.
What year? So this year is between 2010 and 2015. So I was in my 20s.
You already, you know, you're forming already the big knowledge for the next jump, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. Sorry. What were you saying?
Yeah, I was just very I wanted to jump back to the job that you had at Nielsen.
Yeah,
because you mentioned video games, which is obviously right now very interesting. You know, what games were that? Kind of PlayStation or Xbox or?
So yeah, it was across any type of game really.
Okay.
EA was the big client, and so they launched like a couple of really big games around the time. I don't know if this is for sure, but I'm pretty sure I'm like somewhat to blame for you know, downloadable content for DLC, because at the time DLC wasn't very big, and the technology around DLC wasn't very big. But like I found like nuggets of information that there are people who were buying it were like insane. It was only maybe 5 or 10% of the buying population, but they were accounting for just a ton of the revenue. And so all my recommendations were, you guys should double down on DLC. And now I kind of regret it because now everyone hates DLC.
No, but the reason is why I'm asking is because when we look at today, there is obviously the gaming space is huge right now, especially with crypto and everything. We are running into crazy times right now. I'm not sure if you're following up on it, but you know, I'm reading a lot. I'm I'm watching a lot, and it's completely crazy. That's why I was very enthusiastic about the gaming part, you know.
Yeah,
because
no,
right now, obviously,
cool.
this is gonna explode, you know, especially now with the metaverse and all the, you know, it's gonna be super, super huge, you know. That's why maybe, you know, at some point you're gonna go back at this, you know, and think about, well, what can we do there, you know? It's because you have seen the industry, you know.
I'm definitely really interested in like in the functional aspect of NFTs right now. Like, I think there's a big bubble in terms of just like bullcrap art, like being valued at these crazy numbers. Like, who cares? Like, at the end of the day, who cares if you own like just like this GIF, you know? But down the line though, NFT is going to be really huge. But that's another story
that's
that we can get into.
Yeah, it's true.
So from there, just basically hit so this is like the sad, like the down part, right? Is
okay.
You know, you kind of hit like a quarter life crisis at some point and you don't know what to do. So the person I was working for, he moved actually back to Ohio, and I didn't want to move back because it's colder from North Carolina. I love the weather and the people, and I developed a really good. And so I didn't move back with them, but I worked part-time. But at the same time, it's like I wanted to start doing my own thing. And I had a couple of like failures that came out from it. And so got really, I don't want to say like fully depressed, because I don't want to make it sound worse than it was, but like was definitely not in, you know, a motivated spirit, and was just kind of just tired and overwhelmed and a little burned out. And so I took like 3 or 6 months where I was working part-time. And then I also just took a job as like a waiter and just so I can have some structure to my life. And so,
I understand.
Yeah. And just kind of in not really enjoying, but just kind of didn't really do much, you know, from a motivational standpoint, or from like actually starting something new. I needed some time just to kind of recoup, and I loved it. So I had a really good time doing that for a while. And what it did is it eventually led me into my next job, because I met someone just by random chance. There's always the random chance encounter. And while I was talking to her over doing like my waiting job, there was she was telling me about this company that does banner ads, and it was a DSP. And this is the days before no one on Amazon even knew what a DSP was, but DSPs were really big. And so I did an interview with them, and I had already the background knowledge that they needed, and I got a job. At the same time, I was also running for office in our city. So I ran for town council, and I had an election.
Now we're getting really deep.
Yeah, no, I lost that election. I got crushed. I only got 12% of the vote.
That's okay. You know, you made it up to there. You know, it's already an achievement. You know.
So, I mean, it was fun to be able to do it. So the day that I lost the election, the next day, so I woke up and I was already kind of depressed, and I woke up to a phone call with the offer of the job.
Okay. Yeah.
So lose the election one day, wake up to a job offer. And I said, yeah, I'm like,
everything happens for
I'll take it. Yeah. So I took the job and started working in digital advertising, and in like high stakes digital advertising, right? Not just like Facebook ads, Google ads. We're talking like DSP stuff. So running tens of millions in dollars of ads for the top 10 companies in the world. And it was great. And so that was a lot of fun. Got really close to a lot of data scientists, because the technology revolving around how you can make your bid, you know, 1 pentasecond faster than your competitors, so you can serve the ad. You know, it's crazy. Yeah. It's to the point where they would send people to figure out where the bidders' racks were, and try to put our racks right next to it so we can get the closest amount. And we're talking, you know, millionths of a second faster just so we can get the bid. And that's how the bid stream works. And so like, I think a lot of people right now are talking DSP, and you have a lot of like the big Amazon advertising people talk about, but no one has ever really worked in a DSP. So I don't think a lot of people really get how it works, and how the bidding structure works, and what a bid stream is, and how winning and not winning and all of that stuff, and headless bidding versus not, like all of that is just some crazy stuff that I think is missed. But I have that kind of knowledge. So it's easy to kind of game some things once in a while when you know how the system works.
Okay, so we talk about products.
Yeah.
We talk about kind of marketing.
Yeah.
Kind of very, very well marketing. And now we bring in the game DSP.
Yep.
It's advertising, digital advertising. Wow. Now, and in and off Amazon, correct?
at the time there was no Amazon advertising. So this is 2014, 2015.
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
So we're just talking about using the like 4 or 5 major so the way a DSP, like you have the actual DSP and then you kind of have like the service layer around it. And we were the service layer around the different DSPs. So there was like Google, and then there was like AppNexus, and there was, there's tons of them. Criteo, like there's a lot of them that like run in the background. So you learn about all of how that works, retargeting, cookie. Then at the time, cookies was like the big thing. Now, like the same technology that we used back then would not exist or not even work today. But yeah, it was fun stuff. But at the time when I was at that job, we had one of those like, game rooms. It was one of those like tech things. We went, New York Stock Exchange, IPO. And so we were all there and we all got little hammers and we watched our stock just plummet and no one made any good money off of this. Yeah, it was terrible.
Wow. Okay.
So none of our options ever made out. Like no one really made money unless you were like one of the first 5 or 10 people that were there. And it was kind of funny to watch another flop. Even though we rung the bell at the NYSE, we eventually got scooped up and bought for pennies on the dollar and now merged into another company. But well before that happened, there was a drink at this place that I was at. And this drink I loved it. It was an energy drink and it was all natural. It was made from only tea called guayusa and fruit juice. And so it had nothing artificial in it whatsoever. And it gave you really high levels of energy. You could get like about 120 milligrams of caffeine from this brewing process that this girl developed. She started it in her dorm room, one demo day, then got went to Google, one Google demo day, got an investment from Steve Case, the founder of AOL. Eventually we raised $14 million. But before that, when I was at the DSP company, we were obsessed with this drink. So I kept drinking and we would always have a table and we would just have like a pyramid of all of the mate that we drink. And it was a great drink. So I looked at the back of the can and it said, born and brewed in Durham, North Carolina, which is where we were located. And I said, oh, this is a local drink. I never even put 2 and 2 together that this would be a local drink. So I looked it up and I read the story and then I started emailing the founder for about 8 months, just pestering her until she gave me a job. And that's where the new era starts. And that's where the job that I was offered was to run their website and Shopify and run their digital advertising, run their Amazon, and run social media. So anything on a screen was my domain.
Okay, so they still exist today, correct?
No, they do not exist today.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I wanted to try it,
No, the drink still exists. So the IP all got bought up by basically a drink aggregator 5 years ago, and they bought it. Yeah, and they bought the IP of the drink. But the company eventually folded. But that's where I learned Amazon. So I knew nothing about Amazon at the time. So had to learn very quickly. Yeah.
This is your entry. Now with the whole knowledge package that you have, you get an entry into Amazon. So this drink was sold on Amazon already, or?
It was, yeah. So they already had an Amazon account and it was selling maybe 1 or 2 units, a day at most. And it was hard.
Beautiful. This Alice in Wonderland, it's like, yay.
Yeah. And I knew nothing about what to do or how to do any of it. And so literally all I would do was just listen to the different podcasts at the time and the different, videos and just listen to everybody. And I went to, Seller Labs, the people who do Feedback Genius, yes. And they had a conference called Resonate. So I went to Resonate in 2016, and that's where I met a bunch of people who told me, oh, you can, at first I thought Amazon was done. I'm like, we can't get this to work. This is not going to work. Everything I'm trying isn't working. And then I met all of these people who were like, hey, it will work. You're just doing everything wrong. And so it was a great conference because then I came back, implemented stuff, and then all of a sudden Amazon started taking off. And it was really, really cool to see how that would work. And I was always very focused at the time. And I built after maybe 2 or 3 times of Amazon, losing inventory or mislabeling stuff. I developed kind of the structure that I have till today with my clients who are almost all on Amazon, which is Amazon should never, ever be your number one channel. Amazon is a marketing channel that gives you money. Think of it like that and don't rely on Amazon and start building your brands out. And so I've decided from then I was only ever going to work with brands or that or help brands that have a trajectory and a presence that are going to actually become standalone products that can sell off of their websites. And that's kind of from there, I was at that company for 2.5 years. And then it hit one of those things where we raised a lot of money, but weren't hitting expectations. So the board, decided to go in another direction. And it was kind of iffy for a while. And at some point I just realized I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And a bunch of people kept asking me, because I was in the startup community in North Carolina, they kept asking, can I have help on Amazon? I said, you know what, maybe I can start charging for this. And it turns out,
and this is how you got there. So it's a great story, because you can put everything together and see your way. So along the way, you took here a little bit and there a little bit. Okay, sorry, it's not a little bit, it's a lot. You took a lot. It's a lot of knowledge which you put on and learned along the way, and went now into your own company. What is the name of your company?
Sure. We're Brandtogether, BRAND together. And
okay.
The reason why I called it Brandtogether is I wanted to take everything I really disliked about agencies and consultancies, because remember, when I was at the energy drink company, we've hired agencies and consultancies, and there were things that I really didn't like about a lot of them. And so I realized I want to do everything that I hated about them. I'm going to make sure never to do with my clients. And so one of the big things that I really disliked was when you ask, so how are you doing things with your other people? Like, what are some other tactics that some of your other clients use? A lot of times people are like, well, we don't really share. So I was like, when I build one, I want to build an agency that's collaborative, where everyone shares. And when one person finds out something, that information gets spread across everybody, because that's really the only way to grow. And also, there's so much money on, as a brand on Amazon, you're not going to take the entire piece of the pie, right? Like, there's so much out there that if you guys all collaborate with each other instead of keep fighting each other, especially when you're not even in the same verticals, like, all ships will rise with the tide if you can share that information. And then on top of all of that, I wanted people to be like, let's say someone that's a really good box manufacturer. Every one of our clients need boxes, right? Like, why can't we start to leverage each other's third-party partners as well? And so people can say, like, I want, give me your box partner, or who do you use for Google ads, or like, which influencer worked for you? We need to try them. Why don't we go in together and try this influencer and ask them if they can do all 3 of our products at the same time? So
real good
that
network,
part, that was the goal. And unfortunately, what ended up happening in the last few years is, you get so ingrained with your day-to-day that you don't really develop the community. So the community portion of Brandtogether hasn't really been built yet. And so that's what 2022 is going to be all about, is kind of taking a step back from the day-to-day Amazon stuff and just focusing really heavily on starting to build that community out.
I think this is a very good direction you're taking, because as we all are very busy, the community aspect is pushed a little bit back, so this is exactly what MarginBusiness as well is trying. We're trying to reach out to each other, because, it's like you said, there is enough money for everyone, it's just a matter of, we cannot be good at everything, and we have questions, there is so many things, Amazon, as you already said, you said that, oh no, I don't understand anything. So this is how it goes, you cannot understand everything from Amazon. There's people who understand more. There's people who are in other niches. There's people like you in DSP and PPC, and we are in optimization. We're in languages. So everyone has a different field of attention of what he's good at. And I'm quoting again. I quoted him yesterday already. Nater Youngchild. I don't know if you know him, but what he said is, pay attention of what you're good at, because you will doing this most probably up to the end of your life. So it's just, I brought it up again because so, and it's like that, we are good at some things, but we cannot be good at everything. So working together, having a network, I think it's very, very good. 2022 should be the year for everyone to do that, because we are all connected. We're not going in office anymore. There's time. We stop losing time by going somewhere or coming back. We can just connect from the internet. We are all here. So let's all connect.
No, I absolutely agree with that. I guess like the one thing is there are some people out there, and we're all in like we talk in the same circles, and we see the people that everyone is out there, and there are people there that are just so good at what they do.
Oh, yes.
And so I look up to like these mastermind groups and the people that I'm because they give out so much information, and I love listening to their information and seeing what I can like glean from it. But sometimes it's like really even difficult to execute on some of that information as well. And so like a lot of times if there's something that I'm just like really not good at, I love to just tell people, hey, like there are people better than me at these things. Like you should go to this person for PPC. You should go to, because I feel like I have I've been like this though, growing up though, Omar. It's like, I've always been kind of like a master of none, right? A jack of all trades. Like I think maybe I'm between 60 and 80% good on almost a lot of things on Amazon, but like I'm never an expert on any one thing.
Okay. No, expert is anyway a hard word, to say that, but it's good to have an all-around knowledge, and it's good to keep yourself updated because Amazon is updating every day. That's why podcasts about optimization all the time, for example, or PPC all the time. It's okay, but if you have that, if you looked at the videos from 2 years ago, it will be something completely different than today. I think sometimes it's a bit hard to do them, or not all the time, because like I said, information gets old and processes change. Amazon is changing, so you always have to be up to date. So maybe what we talked about for 2 weeks ago. It's not anymore relevant in 2 weeks afterwards. For example, I'll give you one example. I've been talking about the pan-EU package, for example, so that we upload photos and they come, and we were upset that they always come out all together into all European marketplaces. So I said this on a podcast, and actually there was already a new plan coming from Amazon where they actually uploaded pictures. So by the time the video that I registered, by the time I put it out, Amazon put already this information out. You understand? So it overlaps. So there, what I'm thinking, and now you can upload actually pictures into every single country in the European Union, adapted to the country. You don't have any more just one go and then everything is uploaded. So finally, like I said, it's like two weeks in between, where this information came out and my podcast came out. So there you can already see that it's so fast that we always have to be up to date. That's what I'm saying. It's just what I wanted to mention, that, being an expert is different. It's not about being an expert. It's about really being updated all the time and understand the Amazon world and, connect and give out the knowledge, what you know, and take the knowledge from others as well.
Yeah. And like, you can build your own spin on the knowledge. And one thing that you'll never catch me doing, like I will never build a course. Like I'm not the type of person that will like,
I never did it as well.
Because I don't have the, first of all, I don't have like the drive, not drive, there's a better word, like to be able to sit, the patience and the discipline to sit down and like to build out like a course and send it out loud. No way. Also, I don't find myself like much of like, as much of like a growth hacker anymore as I used to be, where I would sit there and try out new things. And so there's people out there that have great courses. Sure. And I love the knowledge that's out there. But like, if I were to make my own course, I would basically be like stealing from them to make it. And so like, and you notice that a lot of times, like I've been hearing things that I'm like, I don't think you invented that. I know who did. Like,
for sure. Yes.
And so that's for me. Like, I will never be a course person. I'll never be an expert. I'll never be like a guru, right? Like, that's just not what I do. But the stuff that I do know, I want to impart and help my clients with. And of course, if I do learn something in like a deep mastermind, that's like a secret one, like I will never say exactly that, because, you have to keep the trust between the people that you're getting that information from. So like, I would never publish that publicly if it's something that's like,
I understand.
That's secretive, but like anything that's out in the public, like that's what I learned from as well. So it's a good mix of both of them.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point as well.
There were as well a few points what I wanted to ask you. You mentioned already that in 2022, you want to build community. This will be like one of your priorities. What do you want to achieve in 2022, or where your company is heading? Do you want to continue as you do, or is there anything like particular that you want to share here or can share?
Such a great question. So I need a partner. So I'm trying to find someone has the same ethics in like Amazon consultancy as I am, who has a decent amount of knowledge, and maybe a little book of business as well, and wants to kind of partner in terms of like finding ways to expand. Because at one thing, and I'm sure as you know, it's like, it's very difficult when you're just a human, because at the end of the day, there's a finite amount of time that any one person has. It's not really scalable, and time is not scalable, right?
No,
Time is
it's not.
time. Oh. That's it. There's only so many hours in the day that are even true hours. So like we're saying 24 full hours, but how many days can you actually like work on Amazon before you want to punch something, right? It's like, you get maybe at least 6 to 8 hours of just like super concentrated time that you could do things on.
Maybe I get a lot less, because I'm not I'm not so concentrated, and I need like to have everything needs to be calm around me, and maybe then I can get like out to like 4 hours, 5 hours, but this is already like wow,
Exactly. And so a lot of times people will offshore their stuff or like outsource and VAs and whatnot. But then like, how secure is your client's information when you outsource it outside of your country of jurisdiction? Like you can't even like, let's say they steal it. You can't even go after them for stealing it at that point. So I refuse to go, do that part of it unless it's a very, very, very trusted, but I still haven't found someone who I'm like fully in trust with for like fully outsourced stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
And like real important stuff. Yes.
And real important stuff. And so that's gone. So I can't really leverage myself that way either. And so it's really about trying to find people that we can grow here in the US where most of our clients are based. And or as you know, and maybe the viewers don't know, but when I don't know anyone on EU, I'm sending everyone to you, right? Because like I trust you, and like I know that within your jurisdiction, you know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's kind of the case with that is if I can find someone to help and have kind of the same vision, that's something that I'm really looking forward to as well. I'm also looking at like the college kids who are recently graduating, someone I can mold the way that my boss, when I moved to North Carolina 10 years ago, like took me and molded me as well. So those are the two avenues.
I think this is you put out a really good point there, because, everyone who comes from university or college, sometimes even I prefer listening to them and asking about their opinion about, any business or, maybe not Amazon related because they need to go into the whole subject. But when they are fresh and coming into the business, they bring a complete new mindset, something fresh. So I really think this is really good to look around the universities, get some fresh graduates and check out what they're doing. This is as well something I'm definitely considering.
Yeah, I mean, totally. They also have kind of a different outlook on social media and like how they approach relationships. Things for them are very, you can only be young for so long, right? And then at some point you eventually don't become young anymore. And so like, for example, I would have never ever assumed TikTok would have done anything, right? I thought it was like, I remember my nephew was on TikTok back before it was called like Musical.ly, right? And like, I thought it was just some like stupid little thing to make music on, you know what I mean? And then it becomes TikTok, and then TikTok actually is driving so much business. And I think TikTok is a better platform now than Instagram ever was for Amazon, which I think is kind of nuts,
It is, but
yeah. So kids are buying stuff off of social media, which I thought like I thought that ship has sailed. I thought that was never going to happen. And now it looks like it totally is. And so I'm wrong almost as many times as I'm right. And so it's nice to have other people come in and change your vision and change
definitely
your mindset.
But for me, it was the same. I thought Instagram is going to be the big thing for selling stuff. But I didn't think about TikTok in that way, right? As it is right now, that everyone is really selling on there. So big. I mean, for products, we don't talk about services. Really, product is definitely something really amazing. I have as well another question, or rather, not a question, just maybe you can give a message to the world, a message to entrepreneurs, or something similar. What is in your mind? What would that be?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a constant thing. I haven't made it yet, right? So I don't feel like I'm accomplished at this stage in my career. And I think a lot of people will also say the same thing, even people who are like way higher. And so maybe it's like always a unattainable, unattainable goal. But for the most part, like I've been through a couple of lows, and, I think you have to embrace the low a little bit, where some people say like, you just have to power through it. I think sometimes you kind of need to take it and like figure stuff out and take some time to step back and go do something like become a waiter, or like go do like random odd jobs here and there, because you get a different perspective of life. You see how some people are like, that is their job, right? That's their full-time. When I was there were lifers. There were people there in their 40s and 50s, and there were waiters, there were waitresses their whole life. And like one bad day means they might not be able to make rent,
Yeah.
And so that gives you just a whole different perspective on life. And like, there are people who are in other situations, and they're noble. I think they're noble professions, frankly. Like, I think the service industry people are definitely some of like the greatest people out there, and they're so much fun to hang out with. And I hired actually my other employee. I met her because she was a waitress at this place that was right before COVID, and she was great on the table. I was with a client at the time, and the client and her like really got along. And so next time I went and I asked her, I'm like, hey, COVID might hit, and no one knew what was happening at the time, but I'm like, if you need a job, like I need a customer success manager. And she's been now with me for a year and a half. And so full time.
That's really nice.
And you start to really, so I guess the message coming back to it, just put yourself in different perspectives all the time, like switch your stuff up. Don't ever be in one thing for too long. And I think a lot of the people listening to this will probably be entrepreneurs anyway. And so they kind of already know this, but you can have really crappy days or months. I had maybe a 6-month really bad, like I call it my lost year, when I was for 6 months. But you gain so much perspective, and you always will find yourself in some random circumstance which will change the trajectory of your life. And so like, just embrace it.
Yeah, that's a really great message. And I think it's really good, especially now when before COVID hit, you mentioned it already. It was hard for quite a lot of people. I mean, what you already said, if they don't work for one day, they can already fail to pay their rent. So imagine when COVID hit, we don't talk about a day, we talk about a few months. So yes, definitely always look at the position where you're at, and turn it around a little bit, tweak it. I want to say like the view,
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
It's all about mindset, but sometimes the mindset is just so hard to put yourself back into. It's not an easy thing. And, it's kind of like working out. People who go and work out know if they just put in 1 hour at the gym 3 times a week, 4 times a week, they'll be in relatively good shape, right?
Yes.
That's not really a hard thing to do. But
No.
How many people do it? I don't do it. I know it's the right thing for me to do, and I don't do it. And it's the same thing with mindset. If you meditate 20, 30 minutes a day and really kind of think about things, like your brain is also like the neural paths that are being built when you meditate and when you reflect and are present, they get built, you know what I mean? They get solidified. It's the exact same thing as working out. But I know sometimes I just don't do it for 2, 3, 4 days. And then by day 6, by day 7, I realize I'm agitated and I'm angry and I'm sad and I don't like what I'm doing. And it's like, you sit there and you're like, but why? And it's because you don't sit there and just really reflect on things and be mindful.
Yeah, I think this is a very good point as well. You have to have kind of a discipline in your life. You cannot just, especially as an entrepreneur, because we have the free time, we have to structure. I mean, for me, it's like that. I know other people can be completely different, but for me, it's like I have to have a structured day. I have to have a time where I get up every day at the same time, and I have to work out, every day at the same time. Sometimes it's different, but this is like my first structure of the day, So
yeah,
I think this is as well a super good point. Just to come back to your to the Brandtogether, where can potential customers or anyone who has questions for you can contact you? Because you have a lot of knowledge. Your background is amazing. So I'm sure there is people who have many questions for you. Just let me know. Like the website is
Well, so I took the website down yesterday because there was
Okay.
like a pretty big flaw in it. So
Okay.
that'll come back up soon. But the website was brandtogether.io. But anyone
Okay.
can always just email me directly, Talal,
Okay.
Talal @brandtogether.io.
We put it down there.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's amazing. Yeah. So thank you so much, for making it today and for sharing your story. And it's really amazing. So yeah, check out Brands Together. And yeah, we speak soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm going to take care.
Thank you.
Bye.